Majority of SMEs don't use social media, and it's free. There's zero cost.
Yep.
The opportunity cost is so great by not using it, by not having a podcast, by not spending the time, energy, and money to create free content.
Yeah.
Most people don't have the self-esteem to just ask.
That's huge.
And I think that's a big competitive advantage of myself, and a uniqueness and a superpower is I just have this naive belief and entitlement that I can speak to anyone. TikTok is the new TV, the new form of consuming everything. Not only consuming, but buying and doing things.
Yeah.
And so whatever it's you're looking for, people go to TikTok. It's the new Google even.
We are live and we're ready to go. Welcome, Marko.
Hey, Larreth. So good to be here, man.
Awesome. Your surname,
Yes.
what does it mean? Stavrou?
Actually, I don't know what it means, man. It's Greek.
Yeah.
My name means servant of God, so Marko. So it's actually Marko in Greek, M-A-R-K-O-S, but I've changed my private name to my public name is without an S. And I actually did that because of an alter ego effect. So a lot of actors like Beyonce is not, her real name's not Beyonce.
Yeah.
So we create this different alter ego when we enter the room, when we do media, when we do publication stuff. You put on a show and you have a personality, and yes, you're your authentic self. But I like to separate who I am at work and who I am at home. And so one of the ways I do this is by wearing a suit and wearing a jacket and having a certain look, but then also through my name.
Awesome. That's pretty cool. So what was life growing up like for you as a kid?
So I'm a third generation Cypriot South African. So my grandparents immigrated from Cyprus, and I grew up. My parents, my dad was a doctor and my mom was a psychologist, and my dad always instilled a love of learning, And so I, throughout my journey at high school, always wanted to be the best, always wanted to grow and have this curious mind, and whether it was on the tennis court or whether it was in the library or doing public speaking, I just had this determination and belief in myself, and I think that carried through my home, but then also just my environment at school and that. And so, I felt very fortunate and grateful to be, brought up in a privileged house that believed in me, and I had both my parents, and it was just a really good foundation.
Did you grow up here in Joburg?
In Joburg, Bryanston, my whole life.
Yeah, so you're a proper Joburg.
Joburg, yeah.
And where did you go for high school?
So I went to St. Stithians in Bryanston until grade 10, and then I left at the end of grade 10 and did Cambridge, grade 11 and 12, did my A-levels in 1 year while I was running my business.
How were you perceived by people when you dropped out of high school?
Yeah, man, it was a difficult period because I'd gone from, playing really good tennis, really good hockey, academically strong, and, I was like, I was going to be a prefect one day, and, school's so important to me. St. Stithians was so important to me. And then what happened was there was this moment with COVID-19 where it stopped the world, and I was like, I started my podcast at that point. I was interning for an agency. I was running Hustles Global. And, I realized wow, school's not everything. This environment is not everything. My sport is not everything.
Yeah.
I remember how many hockey matches I cried afterwards because I was so competitive and we were so bad at hockey. We used to get beaten by Clifton. I remember one match 13-0. And, it was so important. But then when COVID slowed everything down and I was now entering this new world of business and, realizing that the world's much bigger than this bubble that I was in, I found a new love and a new passion, and school became secondary. And this new life that I found become my primary focus. I started distancing myself from my friends, started distancing myself from the school environment, and was looking for other options. And when I came across Cambridge and the study center, it was such a profound opportunity for me. And so I entered that space, and I've never looked back.
Do you realize you're not normal?
I think I'm absolutely normal in the sense that I'm no more smarter than anyone else. I'm no more... I started all my businesses from scratch. Didn't take any capital from my parents or anything. So, I've bootstrapped everything. I haven't had major advantages.
Really? Is that so true? Like you bootstrapped everything?
Every single thing. I've never taken any funding from my parents. When I first started my sneaker business, my first was sneakers and sherbet. 500 Rand I had in my savings my parents had given me, birthday money I used, and it was literally that then made 15,000. Then I took that 15,000, 7,500 profit, bought sneakers, sold that, made 30,000 from that. Then started my PR marketing agency, made 150,000 from that. And every step, literally just a little bit of profit, save, reinvest. Then I lost 150 grand because I had to refund all my clients in the US because of my school. I couldn't actually deliver on time, so I had to refund them starting from zero. And then it's literally, if you can offer service-based business, there's no cost.
Yeah.
So if you're a social media manager, or if you offer PR, or if you offer your time you can sell, and 100% margin. And so everything was started from scratch. And now recently I've raised money, and that was very intentional. And we can speak about that, the reason why I did that, and not bootstrap further. But yeah.
I see this in your eyes. You've got this drive in you. What pushes you? What keeps you waking up every single day? Why are you so hungry? Why are you so determined? Where does it come from?
So my one of my investors always says to me, he's like, yes, you're obsessed, Marko. You're hungry.
Yeah.
And it is true. Like, I've got this obsession with connecting with people, with doing business deals. And for me, it's a game. It's literally a passion, a love. I don't know how many of my friends at high school and even uni had started businesses, and 6 months later, they'd stopped them.
Yeah.
Because their main driver was financial or status, benefit from that. Whereas for me, I was just listening to podcasts while I was walking to tennis every single day and reaching out to people to go for coffee, because it just came naturally to me. And the more I did, the more I enjoyed it. And the more I enjoyed it, the more I wanted to do it. And so I think it was just this natural something inside of me that was like, this was a gift and this was something that I wanted to pursue. But then my environment also catered for it. And so my parents encouraged me to do it. My grandparents were both entrepreneurs. They encouraged me to do it. And so I think it was an innate thing, but then it was also an external environment that encouraged me to do it. And now, my main purpose, besides from building businesses that, do really well, is to help leaders and young people become more fulfilled and live lives of meaning and purpose. Because what I find is I've met so many wealthy people now and successful people who are depressed and suicidal. And we're seeing all these famous people like Ricky Risk and all these Hollywood stars who are doing suicide.
Yeah.
And then you ask yourself, well, what is it all for then? What are we chasing if it's not bringing us meaning and fulfillment? And, that's why I think religion is so important. And, having something really like more than just for money or for success or for fame to drive you.
I hear you. I get that a lot, and I do agree. Servant of God, you said that's your name, right?
Yeah.
So are you a Christian? Are you a believer?
I am, yeah.
Okay. And how do you balance being a Christian with being an entrepreneur? For example, sometimes as an entrepreneur, you have to make certain capitalistic decisions.
Yeah.
Do you pray over it, or how do you balance?
Yeah, it's definitely, there's major cultural differences, right? Because whilst you're making, like for example, the reason why I left high school, a lot of it was because I felt that the Lord was calling me to this new season, this new space of life.
Yeah.
And so, like, there's these cultural differences where people might not want to engage with you, or there's risk appetite. As you were saying, like, people will say, you got to make this decision based on what the numbers show, but you're like, actually, that doesn't align with my values. And so, yes, there's always that fight between what I believe and what the world wants me to believe or to do. And I balance it, and I have a supporting team and structure and church that supports me in that. And I do my best to also, I've realized this, there's enough good people in the world to make a lot of money and do well. You don't have to do business with every single person that you engage with. You don't have to do every single business with every lead that you generate. And once you enter this abundance mindset and stop chasing like every single, thinking that this is going to be the last deal, you actually find you get better clients. The best clients have been the ones that have come to me and they've actually wanted to work with GenLink. Not the ones where I've chased after and having to prove myself and force myself into the door.
Yeah. Do you ever feel like people look at you and they get the idea of what you're doing, but they judge you based on how young you are, and then they just don't do business with you because they can't trust your age? Do you
Absolutely.
get that a lot?
I think there's definitely subconscious bias in every room that I walk into.
How old are you, by the way?
I'm 20 years old.
Okay, yeah.
So, I've been doing business now properly for like the last 3-4 years. And so from the age of 17, I've experienced this firsthand. But at the same time, my first client, which was Standard Bank, and the reason why I started this whole Gen Z guy and this whole next gen narrative and problem that I wanted to solve was because I went to a Standard Bank event and the lady was like, we're struggling to connect with our next gen consumers and customers, and we don't have any relationships. Can you help us? And so one person, an executive at a massive, big bank, gave me an opportunity and believed in me, which then led to, where I am today. And so it's like finding, as I said before, finding people like that who say your age is actually your superpower.
Yeah.
And not a deterrent on your value and trust and of credibility. And so, yeah, it's definitely like a balance. But also at the same time, I realized that I've got so much to learn and so much to grow, and that's why I needed these investors and these people around me, my advisory board, and people in my network to make introductions and to give me feedback and to tell me, this is actually how the balance sheet works, and this is actually how to recruit, and this is actually how to hire people. This is what culture looks like. Because I've never done that, right? This is the biggest business. The biggest business that I've ever built is what right now. I haven't known any other business, right? And so I think that's such an important thing to stay, humble. And I look at all these young people who are, promoting, I'm a crypto millionaire and I'm an e-com this and I'm drop shipping and they're living this lavish lifestyle. And all that they're doing is really hurting themselves because real winners can see through that. Yeah. They know that it's not true. Do
you have like some names of some people that you want to call out?
I mean, for me, there's no benefit to name dropping people. Everyone must make decisions and learn through it. But I think it's a message to other young people that don't try and fake it. Don't try and be someone you're not. Don't try and drive a car that's not yours because you want to put a perception on. Be you. Be your authentic self. The struggle is what people will look to support. The reason why I'm able to get so many meetings that no one else normally gets is because I'm so humble in my approach to say, I need your help.
Yeah.
And when you ask that simple question in a great, authentic way, not in a spammy way, not in a way that looks like you're trying to just take, you're trying to offer value, people will help you. And so I think that's the shift of mindset that I would hope that many young people listening to this will be like, I need to reframe the way that I'm approaching people, building relationships, and getting opportunities.
What's your networking secret? How do you do it?
So there's a few. So firstly, I've got this notebook and I've brought it specifically because whenever I have a meeting, I always bring a notebook and I'm always note-taking who they are, what is their business, what is their background, who are their siblings, everything about them that they share, I want to write down. And I want the question I always lead with is, what is your biggest need?
Yeah.
Because when people ask that, then I can figure out what solutions can I link. So for example, let's do it. What is your biggest need, Larreth?
What is my biggest need? I need $250,000.
Okay, you need $250,000.
Yeah.
Okay, now what type of ideal investor would you like? Would you like an angel investor to start? Would you like a VC? Would you like a private equity? Would you like them in South Africa? Would you like them overseas?
I need an angel investor that understands the mission. I don't want anyone who's just trying to make a quick buck and is going to push me to make decisions that will hurt the company long term so that they can get their 5x, 10x return. I need someone that understands that Africa has a problem, which is unemployment, but also Africa has a great asset, which is its people.
Yeah.
And we need to invest in the people to solve the problem of unemployment. So I need a mission-driven investor.
Cool. Now, I would write that down. Now, I know that you love paddle.
Yeah.
So what I would do is I would say, okay, cool. Who are the guys that are playing paddle that are potential angel investors? And let's set up a game with me, you, and them. And now what that's done is it's done a warm introduction through me, who they trust. Number two, it's not directly business related. We've created an environment where they are loose, relaxed. They're not like, what does this person want from me? What are we doing? They're in a relaxed environment and they're seeing who you are as a person. Because investors, at the end of the day, either invest in an incredible business or an incredible founder. And sometimes they get both if they're lucky. But like if you look at like some of the recent transactions, like globally with like these AI companies and that, they've got such great momentum, such great balance sheet results that any investor will be like, oh, please can I be on the term sheet? Please can I be, in that deal? But then you've got other founders who've got no traction, who've got nothing, and they're just an amazing person, amazing founder.
Yeah.
And so I would say to you, your business is still, growing and developing. Larreth, I think he's a killer. I think he's a winner. And so I would introduce you through that and say, this is who he is as a person, and then they would get to know you. And then you set up a follow-up from that. And you keep it. You don't talk about business in that time. You just show your interest, what you're doing, show that you're researching, showing that you're curious. And that's how I approach every single relationship is keep it relationship authentic, keep it about the person, bring up work as little as possible, as far away as possible, and lead with just that, who is this person, what do they do for fun, what are they interested in, and I write that down. I've got a database of people, and I track that, and then I try and link people. And then also one thing is I write down their names. So on my phone, I've got a thing called names. And all the names from Seattle to Naked Coffee to this event, to any event that I go to, I've got them listed out. So when I go back to that place, I'm like, hey, TK, how you doing? And he's like, well, how did you remember my name?
Yeah.
Because names are so important, right? And so like that's one of the other tricks that I use.
Interesting. And I also noticed that you're a biohacker. Can you share more about that?
So yeah, I take my health very seriously because my dad is a biohacker himself and is a doctor, and I think that mental health and just longevity in general is so important because without health you can do nothing. If you're sick in bed and you can't get out of bed, doesn't matter what business plan you have, it doesn't matter how much money you've raised, you won't be able to do anything.
Yeah.
And so I've always prioritized playing pickleball every week with my community, exercising, my diet, tracking my sleep through my Whoop, putting on my glasses that block out the red and blue light. And so all these biohacks that I do to make sure that when I wake up in the morning and I want to go to work, I'm at 150%. When I come to this podcast and I show up, am I my best self, Yeah. And so I think that's also something that a lot of young people, and there's a startup culture in Silicon Valley where we just want to work all day, 24 hours a day, not worry about our diet. And a lot of people get away with it, but less and less now. And you will see the after effects in your 30s, 40s, 50s catch up to you. And that's why we see so many people burn out. And like we were speaking about suicide before, depression, mental health. Gen Z is massive mental health pandemic, a loneliness pandemic. And so, yeah, maybe we can chat more about that.
Interesting. That's so interesting. That's so interesting that you mentioned that a lot of people are willing to sacrifice their health, not because they know what they're doing. They just, I need to work, I need to get this money, I need to do this 12 hours a day, and then later on it catches up with them. Yeah. The loneliness pandemic, what is that?
So right now we're facing a generation, in fact the world, but specifically the next generation. So when I say next generation, anyone under 30, the average American male in America has got one close friend. 7.5 hours is the average daily of how much time we spend on social media as a young generation. Specifically, on our phones, like sometimes 10-hour days, What social media does, though, is it creates a false perception of connection. Because we believe that, by connecting on TikTok Live or doing on Instagram DMs, that's a real form of connection. But we don't realize that there's a whole bunch of dopamine and other elements that we lose out when we face to face. And when we're sweating together, when we're going through hardship together, and when the effort that you take to drive to somewhere and connect with someone is what creates connection. And so I love this quote. It says, small talk creates connection and big talk creates disconnection. Meaning that small talk is what connects us, and the big issues in life is what separates us. So if me and you are talking, we're talking about paddle, we're talking about life, and we're just connecting, then you say to me, Marko, I've got a real big problem. I need to raise money, otherwise I'm out of business. Now that creates a bit of tension and friction because now I'm like, and I have to help you, and what does that look like? But without the small talk and the trust, I wouldn't want to help you, or I wouldn't help you. So we have to do the small talk so that when the big talk comes, there's not that disconnection. And unfortunately, more and more people are not doing the small talk because we're becoming more transactional. And so, like, I think there was a study that done like 1968, the average amount of time young people would see their friends in the week would be like 3 to 5 in person, I'm saying. Now, the average time, the 2015 study, was 1 to 2. So young people, I'm talking now people under the age of 18 even, are seeing their friends only 1 to 5 times after school as friends, 1 to 2 times versus 3 to 7. So more and more we're entering this Roblox world, we're entering this metaverse world, and we've got these addictions that we can't, with the tech and, the screen time that's creating these both physical problems, but then also mental problems. Then young people no longer know how to actually connect in person.
Yeah.
So we're seeing so many young people like, I don't know how to create friends. Where do I go to create friends? Where do I go to get a job? How do I create a job? And the basis of all of those things is people and relationships.
So without real, authentic, meaningful relationships, you're cooked.
You are, because anything you want, you have to go through a human being. Whether you want to buy or sell something, yes, you can use ChatGPT, but someone has to make a decision. And so that decision is a trust thing. And so it doesn't matter how good your branding or marketing has got millions of followers, people will buy from people that they trust on a real, authentic basis, not because of perception. And we're seeing this so much more where there's these scams and there's people are getting taken because they're buying into these false narratives that aren't true, and then people are losing their lives on it. I mean, I just recently saw, someone on LinkedIn posted their granny got like 380K gone because they got scammed.
Yeah.
And it's through tech, and unfortunately that's doing this. And so I feel that we need to prioritize in the school system, in universities, and in the work environment, building meaningful relationships. And that's why I like work-life balance. I think that's a big, important thing. But then also from a culture point of view, coming into the office, so hybrid. So I think we have to come in at least 3 times a week for real culture to be built.
Yeah.
Because to be culture to be built on Zoom is impossible. On Slack, it's not possible. People can't see the nuances. Oh, walking to the coffee shop, walking to get water. They bump into someone. Oh, how's it? How are you doing? How's your mother? How's your family? On Slack, you're just asking what you're doing, like the task at hand. And so I think all those things are slowly being, deprioritized and less important, but yet those are such crucial. And in South Africa, luckily, I believe we're like 3 to 5 years behind America in terms of technology. And so we've got that less. But overseas, it's even worse. And so I really believe that, we need to prioritize that. And that's the value of university. And when we speak about that is, what is the real value of university in your perspective?
I don't see much value. That's why I started Melsoft Academy, because it takes a lot of time and it's extremely expensive. But the one thing that it does give you is you get to see people and you get to talk to people, you get to build relationships. That's the one huge thing about it.
So the average young person is not going to go onto Biz Community and go onto websites and find out all of these events that are happening and go onto LinkedIn and reach out to people and ask people and going to podcasts and listen to all these podcasts. That's what I did to get into events and meet people, which was so hard. I would go to an event, I would be the only person under 30.
Yeah.
And it was so difficult to do. Whereas a university offers you a structured environment where you can meet like-minded people, you can meet lecturers, you can meet people of influence, guest speakers, and you can actually figure out who you are. Build yourself up, build your confidence, build your interests. And so it does give you an environment to figure out yourself and to learn. And I think that is important because, in a world where you've got unlimited options, how do you know what you want to do? Direction is so important, but to find that direction is very difficult.
Tell us about the Gen Z guy and how that started out.
Yeah, so it's such a fascinating thing because, I'm known now in the industry as this Gen Z guy and all my work to be around the next gen and the youth. And I would have never, ever thought that, this would be my positioning.
Yeah.
And when I started out, my interest was just marketing and social media. But because I always went to events and I was the youngest person, people started saying, who's this young guy? And so when I got my first contract with Standard Bank and they wanted me to help them with positioning their products and services to the youth and building a relationship, it started this momentum of me speaking about the youth. And so then when I spoke at my first event, which was, I think one of the first ones was the Innovation Summit in Cape Town, and I'd done it, and it just created this momentum of we need help connecting to the young people. And so every leader and executive that I spoke to was like, we have a disconnection problem with our talent, our culture, our graduates, and 2 is our customers. We're struggling to connect with our young customers. We're struggling to market to them, to build relationship, to retain them. And so it was all formed from this problem. I didn't intentionally go at it. The problem was so big and loud that I just was forced to solve it. And so, I started Stavrou Consulting from that. And Stavrou Consulting worked with grad programs and worked with a lot of, marketing divisions to help them better position themselves and their products and their campaigns to the youth. And so that's the kind of the initial idea and what the business started as, and it was a lot of consulting work. And then where we are today was that, I'd continue to do that work and find my niche. And I then reached out to this gentleman over LinkedIn, and it took me 2 years to set up a meeting with the specific guy. And they became my client, and I was helping them kind of use social media to attract B2B clients and, do a bit of like LinkedIn work. And I was working out of their back room, this tiny little it was like by the storeroom, and he had given me this space because I wanted to be in proximity with him and proximity with the company. The company had 60 employees. I wanted to know how they functioned, the CRMs, the KPIs, the culture, First Fridays, which I'll talk about. And so I met this guy, and then 2 years later from that point, he actually invested in my business. And so when I mentioned to him that, listen, this is what I'm building, this is what I'm doing, he then suggested that we need to rebrand to something that doesn't have Stavrou in it, so that one day when I want to sell it, we can sell it. And then we'd obviously have to create a new P2I and shareholders agreements and etc. And then my other, so that was an entity that invested in the business. And then my other angel investor, I actually met at an event briefly, but I went to actually go see someone else who was interviewing him. And I just went up to him and I just introduced myself, hey, my name's Marko, and nothing ever happened after that. And then I saw him at a coffee shop at Father Coffee in Cromerville, sitting outside, and I actually walked up to him and I said, sorry to interrupt you, but we've met briefly before, but my name is Marko Stavrou. I'm busy working at so-and-so building, and I'm helping them, and this is what I do. Would it be possible to have a chat about what I do and connect with you? He's like, absolutely, Marko. Here's my number. Let's set up a time. We set up a time, and in that meeting, I briefly mentioned that, listen, this guy's busy, this entity is busy looking at investing in the company. Would you, and he's like, I'm interested. And he actually proposed, and he's like, let's do it. And so from that point till today, it took about 6 to 8 months to close off all the shareholders agreements and all the subscription agreements and set up the new business and come up with the name. And now, I've got my own office, and it's a GenLink office, and it's right next to the building that I was working at. And I've got this whole foundation of this company and this individual who's actually in the similar, his business are in the similar space of me, and I'm leveraging them a lot. And so that is kind of the story of how I got to where I am with GenLink today. And the whole premise of the business is to help connect the next generation of customers and talent to big, large organizations, whether that's universities, whether that's FMCG brands, whether that's banks, insurance companies, and we become their next-gen partner.
So the problem is that these big brands don't know how to connect, they don't know how to communicate and speak to the young people.
Correct. So for example, many big listed companies in this country do not have a TikTok account. Not that they don't post on TikTok every single day, they don't even have a TikTok account. Yet, there's 28 million young people, that are in this country. Majority of them are on TikTok every single day. Majority of them are buying things from ads and from creators on TikTok. Majority of them are finding out about companies and job opportunities and culture through TikTok. TikTok is the new TV, the new form of consuming everything. Not only consuming, but buying and doing things.
Yeah.
And so whatever it's you're looking for, people go to TikTok. It's the new Google even.
Wait, so how do these brands not even have TikTok? Is it an internal thing where they simply don't have the people that are aware of what's going on? What's the problem?
The shareholders and executives believe that there's not enough value and the time and energy and cost of actually doing that. Why would we do it if we are B2B company? Or why would we do it if we're in manufacturing? Or why would we do it if we're a property company? Or why would we do it if our customers buy from our retail chains and retail stores? So firstly, there's a belief that it's not valuable enough. And then two is the people internally don't actually know how to use TikTok to maximize potential. So they're either posting really mundane, boring graphics or videos. They're either posting things that are way too directly salesy. So they're just product demos or they're not indirectly creating a relationship through fun, authentic content.
Yeah.
So there's a lack of belief that it's valuable. Then there's a lack of skills of actually how the flip do we do this, because it's flipping hard. Social media is hard to do well. Everyone can do it. You know, I always give LinkedIn stats. So right now, 99% of people are not posting on a weekly, posting every single day on LinkedIn. A third of LinkedIn people are not even posting once a week. So we've got 1 billion users and only less than 1% are posting. There's a huge opportunity for people, individuals and companies to capture market share, to get the attention of every single customer and young person, because more and more we're losing. So like the average, like young person will stay in a corporate job for less than 2 years. But the cost is 180,000 per employee. From the time where you interview them till the time you onboard them, train them, go through the process. So every time you lose someone, you're losing 180 grand plus everything else.
Yeah.
And so it's costing companies millions by not being able to connect and retain young talent, for example, simultaneously with selling things. If I ask you, what made you buy your shoes? Was it an ad that you saw, or was it like some big marketing billboard? Or was it just natural, I like these shoes?
Yeah, something like that.
Okay? And so we buy things because, number one, we have personal interest and curiosity into them. And two, because we have a relationship. And so that's why influencer marketing, nano influencers are incredible. And we can even speak about AI influencers. And what that's happening and how brands are creating these AI virtual influencers that are CGI generated, and they've got a personality and they've got a story, and they're using that to market to the next generation because they've got full autonomy and control over them. They don't need to take any risk. If the ambassador or the influencer says something controversial or does something, they don't lose. And so it's things like that brands can use to actually connect to the next generation. And you have to be posting on social media on all channels.
Is this a local problem only, or is it all across the board?
It's a global issue, but evidently so much worse in South Africa.
Yeah.
Because we are so behind when it comes to our thinking and our execution on this stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, the majority of SMEs don't use social media, and it's free. There's zero cost.
Yep.
The opportunity cost is so great by not using it, by not having a podcast, by not spending the time, energy, and money to create free content.
Yeah. I guess they just see it as, that stuff is for going on there and, scrolling your life away and having a good time. But they don't realize the power that you can get on these platforms.
Well, a lot of older people think that TikTok is just for my young daughter who does dances. But funny enough, if you to ask them, how many of your friends, I sit in rooms with, I just recently did an event, a property event, and I said, who here, so everyone was like over the age of 30, okay, and I said, who here has a TikTok account? And like 80% of the room put up their hand. Yeah. So the people that are saying that TikTok's not valuable don't realize that their friends and people are using TikTok. So if your people that are over the age of 30 are using TikTok, then why would it not be valuable to post on it, right?
Yeah.
And so there's a misconception around social media and how people use it. And it's all about touch points. You have to be the loudest voice and the best quality voice win.
Yeah. It's not even about who's got the best product. It's more who's louder. Awareness is everything.
So let's take an example, Liquid Death. Do you know about Liquid Death?
No.
Liquid Death is a water company in the US, and all it did was it created fancy designs around water so it looks like a beer can. And the whole feel and the whole changed the way people want to drink water, because naturally drinking water, people don't want to drink water.
Yeah.
So all they did, it's just natural, no better quality water than any other company, just decent water, it packaged in a certain way, and they just pumped influencer marketing, and they pumped brand perception, and they pumped the network effect, and they built a multi-billion-dollar company.
Yeah, that's true. So tell us about the fundraising. You mentioned that you managed to raise, and it took you 6 to 8 months.
Yeah.
How was that process like? Did you have to scrape over a list of investors and cold email? Tell us through the whole process of fundraising in South Africa.
So for me, the big thing was I didn't intentionally go out and fundraise. All I was focused on was building a really great business. And so I was solving a big problem. I had built an incredible personal brand. I was speaking on stages. Now at this point, I've spoken over 100 stages. And so I was just focused on doing good work and building a good business. And these people came into my life, they came into my business, and they saw that. And they invested in a future projection of value, So the business isn't massive, isn't doing millions in revenue, isn't doing millions in profit, but they saw the potential of me, the team, and the problem that we were solving. And then naturally, authentically, it happened. I didn't force it. I didn't say, without this money, the business doesn't run. Without this money, we can't do anything. And I was lucky because the first initial phase of the business it's all service-based. So I don't need to spend millions building out a product.
Yeah.
Whereas a lot of people do, right? And so for those people, again, you still have to get traction. And especially in a South African context, having customers and having paid people is so important to whether you raise successfully or not. And the environment is tough because especially for like businesses under 10 million that are doing ARR under 10 million, it's tough to raise and to show value and to show momentum, because at the end of the day, these private equity, these VCs are looking for that 10x multiple. They're looking for that return.
Yeah.
And the risk tolerance is so low here. And the failure tolerance is low. So what I mean by that is, number one, the entrepreneurs in South Africa don't want to fail. They don't want to fail big. The investors here don't believe in failing. So if you go to America, you go to Silicon Valley, even London, I've been to London many times, people want to fail. They want to fail big. The investors understand that they're going to fail, but they're going to get that one or two big multi-billion-dollar company.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, there's just so few unicorns in South Africa that the chances of that happening are so little that you'd rather invest in a business that's doing 10 to 50 million ARR, that's consistent, that's profitable, that's low risk, that the people, it's been going for 13 years, they've got a great team. And so I just think the risk tolerance and the failure tolerance is not where it needs to be.
And why is that?
Just foundationally, what we've gone through as a country, where we are economically. I mean, our GDP is literally one of the size of like one of the big states in America.
Yeah.
So you can't even compare 300 million people to 61 million people, and majority of those people are living by the breadline.
Yeah. So yeah, it's the definite landscape. We were chatting about this earlier with the previous guest that came onto the show, that South African entrepreneurs, we shouldn't be chasing the Silicon Valley dream of build an MVP, get some traction, raise pre-seed, and hopefully exit. Like, we should just be focusing on building real businesses. And if the funding comes, great. But if it doesn't come, we should keep going.
And I can't tell you how many entrepreneurs I meet that aren't solving real problems. It's a fantasy idea that they've created, and until you've actually gone to speak to 100 customers and gotten feedback and then actually gotten people to pay you, you don't know if that's valuable or not.
Yeah.
And so I think that's the first step, is go to 100 people. What is your biggest problem, Larreth? Oh, my biggest problem is that when I play paddle, my grip is terrible and I can never ever do this. Okay, cool. I'm going to create a grip that's not terrible. And I'm going to take it to you and give it to you in a trial period. And if you love it, then you're going to order more. And if you love it, I'm going to create a referral and you're going to tell your friend about it. And when I've got the referral, I'm going to get a testimonial. How many businesses in this country don't have testimonials? They don't have people that can honestly and authentically say, I love this brand. And so I've been so intentional about just doing as much good work as possible. And same with your network. People always say to me, Marko, how do you build a powerful network?
Yeah.
You build a powerful network by not focusing on building a powerful network. By being incredible, by building a great product, by being of good of service, naturally people come to you. But if you what am I going to take from Larreth and go for coffee with every person, but you've got nothing to offer, you're not making links, you're not doing anything great, then why they help you and where's that going to lead to? So it might just be a mentorship session, right? Which is fine. But then if you actually want to lead to something, and actually if you want to show potential, and you got to go in with something. And I'm so intentional about, as I get older, the less and less I reach out to people. And unless it's through a warm intro, I don't want to meet the person because there's, number one, time. So my time is becoming more and more valuable.
Yeah.
And two is, I don't want it to be transactional. I want it to be authentic. And I want it to be through someone that I trust and have a rapport with. And I think that's really important for, I get a lot of people reaching out to me and saying, let's go for coffee, let's meet up, mentorship. And I'm like, what can I help you with? Tell me now on LinkedIn. Tell me now on an email. I'll help you. And then when you're asking that question, I don't know. So all you want to do is just come and take my time and be associated with me and say whatever you did. And actually, they don't know. They don't have an intention. They don't come with questions. They don't come with research.
Yeah.
Every meeting I have, I know about the person. I know who they are. I go into the Instagram, I see who they're following, who are our mutuals. Where can I create rapport as quick as possible?
Why are you in South Africa? Because when I listen to you at 20 years old and everything that you've achieved, I think you definitely have the potential to go out there in the Valley or New York or wherever and dominate.
Yeah.
Not just participate, but actually dominate. So why are you still here?
Yeah, I mean, many people tell me, Marko, you would have a far bigger business. You would be far more successful. Just things like that if you were in America. And my response has always been, number one, I feel very called to Africa. I feel very inclined and encouraged, and the people and the atmosphere and the energy here it just resonates with me. It aligns with me. And so I haven't been to the US yet, but I've been to many overseas countries, and I've never felt like at home. I've never felt like these are the people that I want lives to change. These are the people that I want to be impact. And so for now, I think number one, there's a calling element. Two is I feel like I've got a way more uniqueness and competitive advantage by being in South Africa, by being in Africa. Because if I go to the States, there's going to be a lot of Markos that are doing incredible things. And yes, I can still do well, but the competitive advantage and the uniqueness that I've got here is 10 times more. And so I've always used that. And I feel like that's a very powerful thing and leverage that I've got. And then I think the third thing is I really believe that if I can build a strong foundation financially, economically, business-wise here, and then go global. So I do have a global expansion plan, but it's get a certain net worth, get a certain foundation of team and businesses in this country. And then when I've got that strong foundation, then I can go into London and Europe and America and have not starting from scratch, and at least have a network and have financial means to make decisions that are going to be quicker and better. And so I think having that foundation here first, I do believe that in some ways it's easier to make money here, but also some ways harder. Yeah. For example, if we look at SMEs, there's a lot of procurement and legislative challenges with building a business in this country. But at the same time, there's less competition. So there's less people reaching out to the corporates and saying, we want to help you. There's these people that know how to do it. And so if I go to America, there's a lot of people that are doing my Gen Z thing. There are a lot of people that are offering this product that I want to build out now. And I feel like there's just an advantage that I've got here that I really want to exploit as much as possible. And then definitely look to go global.
What about a school of thought that would say, go do it first in America, where it's more competitive and more challenging, and win there because you've got what it takes to win there, and then scale to the rest of the world, even scale to here, but starting from America, like the Google, the Facebook, the Amazon, and all the other big giants?
So I definitely could, and there's nothing really. A big thing that's holding me back is my family. So I'm very close to my parents, very close to my cousins, and my friends, my communities that I've built here. And so I think that there's this trade-off of, yes, there's more money, yes, there's more potential, yes, there's more influence, but actually net fulfillment. And so there's a great book by Bill Perkins called Die with Zero, and it speaks about how net fulfillment is so, doesn't matter how much money you have. Some of the people in Township and Alex are the happiest people.
Yeah.
And why is that?
Yeah.
We asked the question, why is that, right? So, having money, having success, having a big business, having millions of followers, sometimes those aren't even really important, right? If all we want in life is meaning and purpose and impact and net fulfillment, then do I need to make those decisions? Yes or no? And so right now at this moment, I feel like I'm really fulfilled. I've got meaning in my life, and there's no reason to throw that away at this moment to go chase after bigger ambitions.
Yeah.
That being said, globalization, I'm so excited about it. Do you know why I'm excited about it?
Yeah.
Because it means that Silicon Valley is less and less valuable every day. Because when we get AI, when we get metaverse, when we get goggles, when we get Slack, email, Zoom, all these things, they make it that I can have clients and I can have investors and I can have relationships globally. I can go viral globally. And so where you're going to be located, I really believe is going to be less and less important. And what's more important is your value. Who you are you authentic? Are you real? Have you got a great product? Are you servicing customers in the best way? And so I think by focusing on those things, you can go anywhere in the world at any point of time. And with this new generation of metaverse, and we can speak about that because that's a lot of what I'm trying to get these companies to get into the metaverse. I think that's going to be a game changer when it comes to me dominating in America while being in Cape Town.
What are some of the biggest mistakes that young people are making in their careers today?
So I think there's two ways you can go about your career. You can go working for someone corporate, and you got your lawyers, your doctors, engineers, and then you've got the other side, which is I really believe that I want to work for myself one day. I want this freedom of being able to build products, build ideas out. And so for me, when you're making those two decisions, one is you got to slow down. Slow down your decision making. At 18 years old, when you spent your whole life in high school, you're not going to know. You're not supposed to know what you want to do.
Yeah. And
so I really believe in not a gap year, but I call it a learning year. Because a gap has got a negative connotation that, you are failure, or you drop out, or you don't know what you want. Where actually you realize you've got the self-awareness to go and actually figure out what you're interested in. You ask young people, what are you passionate about? Most won't be able to answer you.
Yeah.
And so it's really important that we go and spend time in different environments, whether that's on a yacht, whether that's playing sports, working at a restaurant, working for a startup, working for a corporate, working for a manufacturer. Just get out of your comfort zone, get out of your bubble at high school, and go and experience the world, and go and ask hard questions and do hard things. By doing those things, by doing anything actually, you get momentum.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people are sitting at home waiting for life to come to them, waiting for the job to present itself, and it never happens like that. You have to go towards it. And the way you go towards it is by going onto Google and searching event in Johannesburg, sporting event in Johannesburg, podcasting in Johannesburg. You just search whatever you're interested in, art in Johannesburg,
but
paddle.
Why is it that they don't do that? What's the problem? Is it a lack of motivation, a lack of ambition? What's wrong?
I believe one of the reasons is because high school was giving us everything. We never had to, every structural element was given to us. These are the exams you do. This is what you study. This is the sport you do. And then your parents also control you and keep you in this bubble where it's like, this is what we do on the weekends. This is what we do during the week. And you enter the system where you're not thinking for yourself and you're not behaving for yourself. And you don't know actually how to create opportunity for yourself. And so it's just this lack of awareness. And then when you enter that awareness, that space, and that belief, a lot of it's belief. There's this big thing around, imposter syndrome, there's a big self-esteem issue.
Yeah.
Most people don't have the self-esteem to just ask.
That's huge.
And I think that's a big competitive advantage of myself, and a uniqueness and a superpower is I just have this naive belief and entitlement that I can speak to anyone. And whether it's Donald Trump sitting in front of me or whether it's Elon Musk, I believe that I can have a conversation with them and I can share wisdom with them, and I can learn from them and teach them something. And I think that's really, really powerful. And I think that's taught at home, and it's an environment thing like I spoke about. It's also just something innate inside of me. But you can build that skill by doing. The more you do, the first 10 podcast episodes I did, I was terrible. I was nervous. I didn't believe in myself. The first 10 events I went to, I was nervous. I didn't know what to do with myself. I didn't know where to speak. I didn't know how to speak. The first 10 clients that I pitched were the most basic pitches you've ever seen. In fact, I remember asking one of my clients to send me another example of a pitch or a supplier that they had used because I didn't know how to create it. And so I was so vulnerable and honest, but every one of those moments led to development and growth and belief, which allowed me then to create a LinkedIn, become a top voice, have thousands of people connecting with me and reaching out to me and engaging with me, because I believed that I had something to say. And so I think there's a big first step is get out your house.
Yeah.
Get out your house and go and experience the world. And then if you do have some clarity on what you want to do, it's okay to change. You're not a failure. You're not a loser. Your life's not over if at 23 years old, when you're a child, you decide that you want to change degrees, that you want to change countries, that you want to change lifestyles. And I think we're in this race mentality because of social media and this thing called social comparison theory, which states that we make decisions based on the opinions of other people. We are constantly comparing ourselves to the next person. And so if we can get out of that trap and just focus on our own self and our own journey, we'll realize that the most important decisions are the ones we make for ourselves and not for others.
Yeah, you're very right there. The social media comparison is huge. And then not to mention the pressure that young kids get from their parents as well, to say, by this age, you need to have done this. Especially for women, like by this age, you need to be married, or you need to have children, or you need to have this. And then they end up making decisions on that short-term basis just to please mom and dad.
And then when you can't get out of bed because you're depressed, mom and dad can't come and help you.
Yeah.
You actually resent mom and dad. You have resentment towards them, and they are so desperate for you to just be happy.
Yeah.
And they're not asking, what degree do you have from Stellenbosch? They're saying, help my son get out of bed. Help my son be happy. Help my son have direction and drive. And so these are the conversations I'm having with parents, because they're phoning me and they're messaging me and they're emailing me and saying, Marko, my kid's lost. He doesn't know what to do with him in life. My kid's depressed. He's addicted to social media. He's addicted to pornography. And so these
parents reach out to you with those problems?
Absolutely. When I'm speaking to executives, when I'm doing golf days, when I'm playing paddle, when I'm doing podcasts, these are the questions and problems that come up. And it's so hard because, again, they compare their kid to me. And they're like, oh, Marko's doing all of this, so what is my kid doing? But actually, your kid is on his own journey, and by worrying more about your own child, it is going to impact them and be more powerful. And so I think there's this comparison element. And then there's like you said, there's too many options now. You can do anything you want in the world. And so that's a bad thing for businesses that are trying to hire. And it's a bad and a good thing for young people, because they're like, oh, flip. Like, there's so many things I could be doing. And they're looking at the benefits of financial and status and not actually fulfillment. And then, again, falling into that trap. And so I think by just starting something, whether it's you go into university degree and you just do it and you figure it out, again, you get clarity. You go to a job. Yes, your first job might not be the ideal one you get, but you got a 50-year career ahead of you.
Yeah.
So like my first businesses, I don't want to really be doing this Gen Z thing and this next gen. It's not my end goal. It's not what I'll be doing with the rest of my life, but it's a stepping stone for me getting to the place where I want to be investing in other entrepreneurs, and I want to be advising companies. I want to be doing strategic work and be speaking on stages. And as much as I'm doing a lot of that already, and I've got a fulfillment, there's a journey that I'm still on. And the journey is going to get me to there, but I've got to be patient, and I'm really willing to do things that I don't want to do.
How has LinkedIn changed your life?
Oh man, without social media, I would not be sitting here, Larreth. From being accepted into Henley Business School through Instagram and finding the dean and sending him a voice message and being accepted through that because the people at the desk said I was too young, to getting my investor, to getting my first clients, to building my personal brand that allowed me to get onto stages, to engage with people, to connect with people, just by believing. And I don't know why I believed that I was worthy of being on LinkedIn. It just came from a self-esteem thing, and it came from an interest thing. It was more a curious thing. I created a profile when I think it was 16, 17, and started posting and started sharing my experiences. And a lot of people say to me, Marko, but what do you post? And it's all about documenting. People just want to see who you are as a person, who's your business. Just document. Don't try and show the end result. Don't try and show the success. Because actually people don't really care about your success. They care about how can you help me? How can you inspire me? And so I've been very intentional about documenting my life, documenting my interest, just showing it. Interviewing people is an amazing way because you get to leverage someone else's story for your own benefit.
That's true.
And so a lot of that is people must just share articles about what they're interested in, share what they're doing on weekends. There's a saying in Silicon Valley, you don't want to know when the next trends are, go and see what the nerds are doing on the weekend.
Yeah.
And so it's the same thing. Is the concept is whatever you do and passionate about, just share that in an authentic way. Don't worry about results or millions of views or fame. And I never did that in the beginning. And, I've been very grateful to, have amassed a following and have influence and go to events now and speak on stages. But it all came from a place of humility and reaching out. I used to go to these events as an attendee, go to the organizer before the event, email them, reach out on LinkedIn, and then go to them and say, can I speak? Can we have a coffee? And that's how my first gig came. Same with my first client. The first 10, 20 clients said no. Then I refined my pitch. Then I got to know what the real problem was and have another meeting, follow-up meeting. And then wherever they need, biggest problem was, that's why I provided a solution. And I think that's such an important concept because at the end of the day, what people pay for is what they value.
Yeah.
And so you may believe something's valuable, but until they pay for it, you don't know.
That's so true. But then I see this problem again with the young people because for some reason you have very high self-esteem. Young people don't have that. They are afraid to post because they're afraid, my sister or my friend or whoever is going to judge me.
Yeah.
How can they overcome that fear of caring about what other people think?
So, a lot of this is just from a broken world, right? So addiction to technology, more divorces, 50% of marriages end in divorce. Isolation. We are less connected than ever before. So back in the village, I always like to give this reference to the village. Village in Cyprus, the only people that you cared about opinions were your friends and family in your little village. That was it. The best looking people, the best performing people, the best everything was in that little village. That was all you had. Now, with social media and the internet, we compare ourselves to the world.
Yep.
And we compare ourselves to people that aren't our same culture and aren't our same environments, that aren't our same people group. And then that creates disconnection. And so, even same thing with marriages, I believe that there's a very important element of marrying into the same culture because the nuances of life and the challenges and where you go to in places of trauma is so important. And so I think that young people, what they can do to improve their self-esteem is, number one is look at friendship. Try and get one really close friend. Challenge yourself to say, this year I'm going to get one really close friend. What does that mean? That means you're going to be inconveniently having to go to their house and go and meet them and go and chase after them and push to connect with them. That's going to be inconvenient to you. But make sure you do it. Make sure you do it in person. Second thing is find the people that do believe in you because there are. My investors and my people in my team believed in me when I didn't believe in myself. My parents believed in me when I believed in myself, my grandparents. And so there are people that believed in you, whether it's your brothers, your siblings, your aunt, your granny, that believed in you when you don't believe in yourself. And I think that's so important. And then the other thing is by doing, you build confidence. So when you're starting, you don't have confidence. But as you do and you execute, not you speak, you do it. You build confidence. And so every single day, the more I execute, the more I actually do it, the greater my confidence grows in what I actually say I can do.
So what's the future looking like for Marko? What's the 50 years from now, where you're going to be? What's the plan?
Well, I mean, right now is just become as valuable as possible. From a relationship point of view, from a skill set point of view, I'm really looking forward to hopefully making some investments myself, co-investing with my investors into businesses. I'm really passionate about giving back to other entrepreneurs, building the entrepreneurship landscape in South Africa. And so that's a passion of mine. Scaling GenLink and building a team out, and hopefully in the next 7 to 10 years exiting and then reinvesting that money into my own fund or into my own portfolio of businesses. Speaking, I'm going to be speaking for the rest of my life. I really believe that. I love it. The most fulfilled I am is when I get off stage. And so I want to be speaking on stages of all sizes, of all demographics, of all people, about my life, about the next gen, about future trends, about future of work, about the loneliness pandemic. Hopefully, we're going to be discussing that and hopefully see that change. And so, I think those are things that I'm passionate about. I mean, I love sports. I play paddle and pickleball every week. And so staying healthy, the longevity aspect is a big one. And so yeah.
What's your score on paddle? What's your level?
So about a 3.8.
Oh, wow. Yeah, no, I'm not even going to dare to challenge you yet. I need to get more caps.
Listen, paddle has been an incredible way to meet people.
Yeah.
Both from a transactional point of view, but just from friendships as well. Because it's so hard in Johannesburg just to make friends, to meet people.
True.
And so I find that paddle and pickleball and events is to meet like-minded people is amazing. And I think eventually I want to move to Cape Town. I find it a much more slower, relaxed lifestyle, more work-life balance, healthier. This Joburg rush, we're always rushing to the next deal, to the next meeting, is intense and it's not hard. And I want to end with this and say, entrepreneurship is way harder than anyone believes it to be.
Yeah.
It is way harder than people make it out to be. And so before you make the decision, I always talk about this thing called the entrepreneurship apprenticeship. I believe and I wish that I had worked for another entrepreneur for longer, because I would have learned and grow at his cost. So I would have earned a salary. I would have learned the network. I would have got the systems. I would have got the confidence. I would have got et cetera, by his learning. And so I had to take way much longer and much more suffering and pain through my own journey and having to do it myself.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Marko.
Cool, man.
Really
Thanks for having
you. How can people connect with you?
I love just helping people, and I'll do my best to answer every single email or message online. So you can literally just email me at marko@genlink.io, and we'll put it in the description as well. And reach out to me on Instagram and LinkedIn, just Marko Stavrou, and check out GenLink. We're doing some amazing work with organizations from corporates to universities, to NGOs, to FMCG brands, and we're helping the next generation of customers and talent really connect to businesses. And so, I would love to connect with you.